The least informed and the last to act has been Columbia Gas.
It is time for Columbia Gas and NiSource to answer for this disaster.
2.5 months after the gas explosions and fires in the Merrimack Valley, 1,500 are still out of their homes. $68 million paid to the families so far, and a lot of finger-pointing at Columbia executives.
You continue to keep your jobs, to collect your big paychecks.
Absolutely broke my heart.
Bart Medeiros was the operations supervisor in charge of meters and regulation, the team that regulated gas pressure for the Lawrence area. He retired from Columbia Gas 3 months before the explosions, which federal officials say were caused by overpressurized gas lines. A 42-year employee, he says he warned company officials that staff and policy changes could lead to problems.
You contacted people within the company.
Yes.
Sounding the alarm saying something is going to happen. What was the something that you thought would happen?
That they were going to miss something. When you deplete resources, somebody's got to cut corners.
Cutting corners, according to Medeiros, like not having experienced technicians on a major work site. He says he warned the company executives repeatedly about fewer resources. An on-site technician from his department would monitor the gas pressure in the lines, directly communicating with the work crew.
4 years ago, Columbia Gas phased out technicians having to be on site. Why?
Again, I think it's a resource issue, and in particular in the Lawrence location, the resources were minimal.
You asked for more resources.
I did, a number of times.
According to the National Transportation Safety Board's investigation of the explosions, Columbia Gas offered no explanation as to why this procedure was phased out. Medeiros says company officials also cut his department, the one responsible for monitoring the gas pressure, from 4 employees down to 1.
I told them this is not a good idea.
What was your fear that what was going to happen?
We didn't have enough people to respond and to provide a safe, reliable natural gas to the customer.
The NTSB report focuses fault on a field engineer with limited knowledge about the importance of the pressure sensing lines. An NTSB investigator testified at a field hearing.
We know that not all of Columbia Gas's internal departments were required to review the plans.
The report says the field engineer did not believe they needed to. One of those departments not consulted was Medeiros' former department, Meters and Regulation. He says that wouldn't have happened on his watch.
Before I retired, I would sit down with engineers in construction. We'd review the procedures, look at the procedures, look at the drawings, and make sure that we had everything in place.
Medeiros says without those meetings, the crews didn't know critical details about the lines they were working on.
And this is where the experienced people can say, yeah, those control lines are over on the other main.
He says knowing those details and having the right people monitoring the job could have prevented the pressure buildup to begin with.
A qualified, experienced supervisor would have made the decisions to shut 1 or 2 stations off immediately.
Something Medeiros and the NTSB report says didn't happen.
Why that valve wasn't shut off immediately, I have no idea.
And with the number of fires and explosions,
There's no way that that valve could not have been left on for hours.
when you called and emailed and warned, who did you contact?
Frank Davis and Dana Argo. Frank Davis, the general manager, him and I had a number of discussions and why this wasn't a good idea. And Dana Argo as well, and said this wasn't a good idea to split M&R and the plants because something was going to happen.
While Medeiros praised former co-workers, he took issue with changes and retired.
I am proud. I did this for 42 years without incident, and then for 2 months after I leave to have it happen, it's just unfathomable. I can't come to grips with it.
Columbia Gas declined an interview, saying the ongoing NTSB investigation prohibits them from discussing potential causes yet. As for no technicians on site, they issued a statement. We value the NTSB's perspective on this issue. We're still reviewing the facts and circumstances that may have led to this tragic event.
Bart Medeiros says it was difficult to talk about potential missteps. He trained a lot of those first responders who ran to help that day on what to do in this very situation of explosions. Columbia Gas now faces a criminal investigation led by the U.S. Attorney. Karen Hensel, NBC 10 Boston.